Okay, so I guess there's a new crisis on the block, um, and that is Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. Now, this game is one of the first games where hardware ray tracing is required. You cannot turn it off unless you mess with DLL files or whatever. And as you can see, the minimum requirements are a little bit steeper than most games. I am rocking a 5800 X3D, 32 gigs of CL14 RAM, and RX 6900 XT. Now, the RX 6900 XT was AMD's answer to the 3090. And in raster performance, it is about equal. However, ray tracing, not so much. So as you can see, for the full ray tracing requirements, they don't even have any AMD GPUs here. But, um, I mean, in theory, we should be able to kind of match a 4070, maybe. Um, but I just want to see what happens if we do, full ray tracing. How bad is it? On a 6900 XT. Now, we have a minimum 10700K or RTX 2060 Super 6600. Okay, we're doing better than that. So, okay, what about recommended? i7 12700K or 7700. That's a regular 7700. So, the 5800 X3D should be better than both of these. So, we're good there. 3080 Ti, that's basically a 3090 with half the VRAM. And a 7700 XT. We should be doing better than that. We should be doing better than that. Storage, I didn't even mention storage. I do have it installed on my C drive, which is a Samsung 980 Gen 4 NVMe. That should help with if there's any texture streaming or anything like that. Now, what about Ultra? Okay, 13900K or 7900X. So I guess it needs a lot of cores or something. We're a little bit below that, but not by much. And then a 4070 and a 7900 XT. We're not as good as these cards. So we might not even be able to do standard Ultra, but we will see. And then if you go over to the Steam requirements, so that's the standard recommended. And, again, 12700K, 7700, we're doing better there. 3080 Ti or 7700 XT. These GPUs aren't exactly equal when it comes to ray tracing, so I don't know why. But if we look at the AMD and compare AMD to AMD, we're doing better than this. And that's for high resolution 1440p, 60 FPS. I am using the Xbox Game Pass version. I don't know if there's performance difference, but anyway, this is my first time booting this up. This is 3440 by 1440. That's sometimes referred to as 3K. So this should actually be a little bit harder than the recommended specs, which was quoting 1440p. That's 2560 by 1440. This is 3440 by 1440. So we may not even be able to do, the high recommended, but let's see. Okay, let's go right away into options. We'll go to video. Okay, we're doing borderless windowed. You know what? Let's just go native, and then I'll do regular 16 by 9 after this. So field of view, I want to put that at about 100. These are just personal preferences. VSync we want to turn off. Okay, no FPS limit. Motion blur, I'm going to turn that off. That's fine. Sharpening, I already have sharpening on my drivers, so I'm going to turn that all the way down. Film grain is fine. Depth of field is fine. Overall graphics quality, it's putting us at high. Ooh, volumetric. Okay, that's as high as volumetrics go. Okay, so it's putting us at high. Except for vegetation, which is ultra, and dynamic scaling. Let's go static 100%. So this is high settings, native 3440 by 1440, that's 21 by 9. VSync is off, FPS is unlimited. Let's see what that looks like. Now, I don't know if it's just the cutscenes that are limited to 60 FPS. Okay, here we go.
We are walking the path of death. What of the curse?
Superstitions, Satibo.
So, it's not doing too bad, really. We're over 60 FPS. Let's start counting our FPS. So, you can see how jittery it is or is not. Now, this seems like a pretty low popular area, like not very big or open, so I imagine our performance will get worse as we get to like cities and things. But you know, hopefully this is pretty representative of how you would actually play the game. Let's go all ultra and see what that does. Again, this seems like a light area of the game, so I don't know if this is going to be a good test, but of course it requires a restart. Why wouldn't it? Okay, fine. Let's do, you know what? Let's go for broke. Supreme. So I need to restart the game apparently. So we'll go ahead and do that. We'll just hit continue. And what does that look like? So really not much of a difference in FPS. A little lower, maybe like 2-3 FPS lower. So if you wanted to do a locked 60, I would probably recommend high over ultra, because we are dipping a little bit. I want to just see if we can get to the next section and see if that's more intensive. So far, there's very minimal difference. And visually, I don't know. I mean, I guess it looks better. Let's go back to the reflection, or the shadows on this rock I saw back here. Yeah, I guess that looks better than before. I don't know. But we're dipping below 60 running through the forest here, so I don't really know that it's worth it to do ultra. Like, just doesn't really look all that much better. Now, I suppose I should explain the numbers we're looking at. So first number is for GPU, CPU is temperature, followed by utilization, followed by clock speed in the CPU's case, and VRAM usage on the GPU, and it looks like we are utilizing all 16 gigabytes of VRAM. And pulling about 280 watts. I know that this can go over 300, so I don't know, maybe it might be room for some more overclocking. Also, we're right up against 16 gigs for the system memory, so you might, if you have 16 gigs, you might not be able to do ultra, but like I said, ultra doesn't really look that much better than high, if I'm being honest. Book.
This was Forrestal's favorite.
Why did they leave these things behind?
I think they were intent on coming back.
And we got some water in here, and yeah, see, now we're in the 50s, which is still totally playable, but it's not amazing. So yeah, high 50s, low 60s. Honestly, if the counter was turned off, I might think that this was just 60 FPS. I don't think. I
This is
think
it.
it's doable.
This is where Forrestal cashed in.
So I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say that if you have a, RT capable AMD GPU, I mean, this is a 6900 XT, so if you had a 6600, maybe you'd be getting about, I don't know, 60% of this performance or something. But this is totally doable. I mean, this is maxed out everything, 3440 by 1440. No resolution scaling going on. Just, and we're not even dipping below 60. Now, this is, again, indoors, and it's not very, much. So what about, 2560 by 1440? That's a more common resolution. So let's go ahead and apply that. Now, this might be more akin to what a normal person without a, ultra wide screen might be playing at. And we're getting over 100 FPS now. So, I mean, is it like Cyberpunk where like the regular ray tracing and the, path tracing are different? Let me see. It could be that some like volumetrics is only medium for me. It could be if I had an NVIDIA GPU, maybe it support higher. Resolution scaling. I had it at static. Well, it should be the same. We'll just, for good measure, we'll turn it off, but it should be functionally the same as static with 100%. But it should be noted that we were using all the VRAM before, and right now we're using about 15 gigs. So if you have a 12 gig card, I don't know, you might experience some stutters or something. I don't know. Could just be that that's allocation and not what's being used. But it is allocating just about everything. But we're doing just fine. I mean, this is better than I expected. So we have Supreme, and yeah, we know. Very Ultra, so that's one below what we're using, and then Ultra, and then High. So I think if you play on high settings, okay, this looks to be about the same, same FPS. So now we're, again, 60 by 9, 2560 by 1440. And we're overall graphics quality is high. And yes, I can still see the reflection. So we're, you know what I mean? Like this is not bad. I was expecting this to like murder my GPU, because it's AMD GPU and it's generation old and whatever. Yes, it's the top card, well, besides the 6950. But like this is perfectly fine. So, I mean, you got to remember this the 6000 series from AMD, that's going to be better than the 20 series from Nvidia. Are they as good at ray tracing? No. But they're better than first gen Nvidia. So if you have a 2080 Ti or whatever, this thing does better than that. So, yeah, if you have a AMD GPU, I think you'd be fine. Drop it to high. Yeah, again, so at high settings, we're still doing 13 gigs of VRAM. So, you have like 6700 XT, which is 12 gigs, again, you might see stuttering, 4070, 12 gig, you might see stuttering. I don't know. It could just be allocation again, but to anyone who might have an AMD GPU, if you're worried about the ray tracing in this game, it doesn't seem to be that bad, actually. Anyway, that's the video. Thanks for watching. Have a good one.